Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. We offer our most respectful obeisances unto all Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, fill the desires of everyone, and are full of compassion for all the conditions of souls. Panchakalpa Duribhyasa. Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. All right. Jaya Radha Madhova Kunna Bihaga Re Radha Madhova Jaya Radha Madhova Kunna Bihaga Re Gopi Janamadaba Hidi Baradare Gopi Janamadaba Hidi Baradare Yasodhanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Januranjana Yamuna Tera Manachante Yamuna Tera Manachante Jaya Radhu Madhova Kunna Bihaga Joy Radhu Madhova Kunna Bihaga Gopi Jana Ballabha Hiri Baladavute Gopi Jana Maharaba Irivarurare Yasudanandana Prajajanaranjana Yasudanandana Prajajanaranjana Jamunatira Panachanti Yamunatira Panachanti Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunya Viraguti Joy Radha Madhuva Kunya Viraguti Va Kunja Viraguti Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravidakacharya also Cheta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalanad Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Jagadasami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Snavita Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Jinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivasesha Shunyavadi Pashat Start. So today we are reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 70th chapter, text 42. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasmin Deva Kratu Vare Bhavantang Vai Suradaya Didrikshava Sameshanti Rajanash Cha Yashasvina Tasman Deva Kratobare Bhavantam Vaisuradaya Dudrikshava Sameshanti Rajanascha Yashasvina. Yo. It froze. Yeah, you got machines, just follow. I'll go slower, so these are short lines, so it should be easier to repeat. Okay. Tasmen deva kratuvare bhavantam vaisuradaya tadrikshava meshanti rajanascha yashasvina tasmin deva kratuvare bhavantam vaisuradaya tadrikshava sameshanti rajanascha yashasvina. Okay. Tasmin deva kratuvare bhavantam vaisuradaya tadrikshava sameshanti rajanascha yashasvina. Anyone else? I guess that's it. Duvare. Radaya. Okay. So I'll have to contact the expert in this thing, in the computer stuff. So, repeat. Tasman, in that. Deva, O Lord. Kratu, of sacrifices. Vare, best. Vavantam, you. Vai, indeed. Sura, demigods. Adaya, and other exalted personalities. Tadrikshava, eager to see. Sameshanti, will all come. Rajana, kings. Cha, also. Yashasvina, glorious. So, translation. O Lord, exalted demigods and glorious kings eager to see you will all come to that best of sacrifices. You can repeat, O Lord, exalted demigods and glorious kings eager to see you will all come to that best of sacrifices. So purport, by the followers of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The Acharyas explain that Narada here means to say that since all the great personalities will come, especially to see Lord Krishna, he should also come to that sacrifice. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, very short commentaries. Giving permission for the ceremony but remaining here is not good. You should go there. And Goswami says, Yashasvana means having good conduct. And Sanatana Goswami finally says, even devatas, as well as humans, adaya, who are well-behaved, Yashasvana, will come desiring to see only you. So, again, the verse, Tasmin deva kratuvare vantam vaisuradhiha tadrikshava sameshanti rajanascha Yashasvinha. So Omagana Timirandasha. Gananjana Shlakaya. Chakshurun Miditam Yenat Tasmai Shiravena Maha. So, just to make it clear, the whole scenario of this particular Rajasuya sacrifice that's going to take place is going to be in Indraprasth. There might have been some confusion, like that, that it happened after the battle of Kurukshetra. There's not after the battle of Kurukshetra. There was only one Rajasuya sacrifice. Actually, the rule of the Rajasuya sacrifice is there can only be one while that person who did the Rajasuya sacrifice is still alive. That's why Duryodhana never did it, nor did Yudhishthira Maharaj ever do another Rajasuya sacrifice after the battle of Kurukshetra. There's only one Rajasuya sacrifice. So anyway, this is Indraprasth, just a little history for you. The Pandavas were exiled, not really exiles. It's more or less they were given Indraprasth. There was some discussion amongst the leaders in Hastinapur as to, how to keep the brothers living with each other. And it was decided, the brothers, the cousin brothers, they couldn't live with each other. There was just too much opportunity for antagonism. So therefore they decided to divide the kingdom. And so there was a discussion how to divide the kingdom, and then, of course, Duryodhana and his very nice uncle, Shakuni, came up with the idea, we'll just give them some desert area, the useless desert area. And so they went to this useless desert area, and not only was it a useless desert area, but it was inhabited, right next to it there was a little forest that was inhabited by snakes, like vicious snakes, especially your friend Takshika, the one who killed Parikshit Maharaj. So they were thinking, we've given them, a blind cow in charity, as the saying goes, or something useless. So Duryodhana and company were just laughing, ha ha, we got him. But little did they know that the Pandavas had Krishna on their side. So Krishna and the Pandavas, they proceeded to actually till the land. And not only did they till the land, but Agni came, and Agni said, I want to devour this forest. It's called the Khandava forest. Khandava Prasth was the area that the Pandavas were given. So anyway, it wasn't called Indraprasth at that particular point. It was called Khandava Prasth. So Agni wanted to devour the Khandava forest because he needed some herbs. He needed some Ayurvedic medicine. And the reason is there was this king, Marut, who had previously done a sacrifice. I believe it was 12 years or something like that. And he just kept pouring ghee into the fire. And poor Agni, he had acid reflux or something. He had indigestion. He was really in bad shape. So he needed some herbal medicine. So he needed to burn the herbs first. So anyway, the Takshika and the other snakes were living there. And so Arjuna said, I'll enable you to do that. So they proceeded to burn the forest, but actually Takshika was being protected by Indra. Indra's his good buddy. You can see that later on when Maharaj Janmanjaya was performing the Sarpa Yagya, trying to kill all the snakes, that he was trying to kill especially Takshika, and Indra was protecting Takshika. And eventually he asked for Indra to be thrown into the fire along with Takshika, but they were both saved by Ashtaka. That's a different story. So basically, Arjuna and Krishna, they were able to arrange for the burning of the Khandava forest, and actually they didn't allow any animals to escape either. I mean, there were few that did escape. However, Takshika's family got killed, and that's one reason Takshika got really angry with the Pandavas
and eventually killed Parikshit Maharaj. And actually, he didn't kill Parikshit Maharaj. He attacked Parikshit Maharaj's body after Parikshit Maharaj had left his body under yogic trance. So and Indra was fighting with Arjuna, and Arjuna came out on top. Of course, he had Krishna with him. And basically, there was someone else who was saved. His name was Mayadanava, because Mayadanava was in the forest. He was going to be burnt. And then he took shelter of Krishna and Arjuna, and he was protected, and he was able to build this beautiful palace in Indraprastha. And this palace had many different features to it. Water looked like land looked like water. A doorway and windows looked like they were perfectly clear. But anyway, that's later on. We'll read about this particular story. But anyway, so Yudhisthira became very powerful, and it was decided he was supposed to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. So what is the Rajasuya sacrifice? So this Rajasuya sacrifice gives one access to Indra's court. One becomes a member of Indra's court after performing the Rajasuya sacrifice. So you may say, but we've heard that if you perform 100 sacrifices, you get to be Indra. Well, that's Ashvamedas. That's a little bit different. The Ashvamedha sacrifice, you can do as many as you want as long as you don't get to 100. If you get to 100, you're in big problems you have, because Indra's going to get upset, because that when you do 100 Ashvamedha sacrifice, you get to become Indra. And the real difference between the two, as far as the procedure is concerned, in the Ashvamedha, you sacrifice the horse. That's what Ashvamedha means. Whereas in the Rajasuya, you don't sacrifice the horse. There's a horse used in both circumstances to go around to all the different kingdoms in order to establish the supremacy of either the person who's doing the Ashvamedha or the Rajasuya sacrifice. And there's like a challenge plaque on the horse's head. Anyone who interferes with this horse will have to fight with the king. So it's interesting that basically there's only a few instances of the Rajasuya sacrifice being performed, and generally by demigods. And in the Ramayana, Lord Ram refused to perform it because of his humility. It's an interesting story. He was preparing to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. Instead, he did Ashvamedha. But because of his humility, he didn't want to take that particular position. He thought it would take too many resources. So, anyway, as I mentioned before, Rajasuya sacrifice is to establish the emperor, the Chakravarti. Chakra means the one who is in the center of everything, and is considered the king of all sacrifices. Of course, I'm going to speak about other sacrifices. Obviously, I'm going to get to this at the end of the class. So anyway, so we know the history of this particular Rajasuya sacrifice. So what do we do about this? Should we be performing Rajasuya sacrifices? I mean, hasn't been one done in a long time. Should we do it, in honor of Srila Prabhupada, have Prabhupada perform Rajasuya sacrifice? Well, first of all, it's impossible to perform. Prabhupada says this many times in this day and age. It requires hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Maybe Elon Musk can pay for it if he wants. But it requires hundreds of millions of dollars, gold and paraphernalia, expert Brahmin priests who are not available in this day and age. In this day and age, the Brahmanas, they're all on salary. Not all, but just like we've seen. I'm not going to mention any instances. They have salary and they own houses. But a Brahmin is supposed to take a vow of voluntary poverty, live very simply like Chanakya Pandit. That's what a Brahmin is. Now, if a Brahmin gets something, what is it? Yajan, patan, dana pratigraha. If a Brahmin gets something, he gives it away in charity. He accepts charity, he gives charity away. And sometimes Krishna will give him a lot, like in the case of Sudama Brahman, but he doesn't hoard anything. So in this day and age, getting to the real point of this class, and actually always the best sacrifices, guess what? Nobody knows? It's chanting and the Harinam, Harinam. So I'm going to give some quotes to verify this, since some of you may have some doubts. Hopefully you don't. But anyway, some of you may have some doubts in this particular. There's beautiful quotes I came up with that in the Adi Leela, because we don't have our note taker here today, but anyway. Oh, she's at home. She'll take notes. Get your pen out. In the Adi Leela 379, chapter 3, verse 79, beautiful verse about the holy name. Koti Ashvamedha, so there's the Ashvamedha again mentioned. Koti Ashvamedha Eka Krishna Nama Sam. Ye Kahe Se Pashande Nande Tare Yam. You could probably understand by the Bengali what it means. Let's go. I'll give the translation, but then I'm going to go very slowly over the verse again, so see if you can guess. Koti, what does Koti mean? What? Millions or thousands. Ashvamedha, that's easy. Ashvamedha sacrifices. Eka Krishna Nam. Sam. Sam means to equivocate, to make an equivalence. That if you make an equivalence of millions of Ashvamedha sacrifices with one Krishna Nam, it's interesting, beautiful verse actually. Ye kahe, of course you wouldn't know what that is. That means one who does that. Se pashandi, that's pretty easy to understand. Atheist, yeah. He's an atheist. And then Dande, he goes, Tareyam. He goes to Yamaraj. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, think about it. And we don't have to read the word synonyms because we just went into that. But the translation is, this is Prabhupada's translation, and of course, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, one who says that 10 million Ashvamedha sacrifices are equal to the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna. Actually, one chanting, Prabhupada doesn't mention on the purport, as undoubtedly an atheist, he is sure to be punished by Yamaraj. Wow. Oh my God. And actually, not only Ashvamedhas, I mean, we do so many sacrifices, isn't it? And so many things in ISKCON. And of course, the chanting during the sacrifices is Krishna Nam. So that's what makes the sacrifice bona fide. Our sacrifice is bona fide. Because the Ashvamedha sacrifice and the Rajasuya sacrifice are considered in the category of karma kanja. Not all the mantras there have to do with Lord Vishnu or Krishna. There's a lot of worship of the demigods. For example, in the Rig Veda, which the Rig Veda is used for the Ashvamedha and Rajasuya sacrifice. Most of the mantras are to Indra and the demigods. I mean, there's, of course, the famous mantra in the Rig Veda, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Pada Pashanti Yat Surya, that all the demigods are actually looking for Krishna. Anyway, and let me read Prabhupada's purport. This is really a beautiful purport to this verse. I got a lot of verses. We'll never get to the end of them here. But in the list of the 10 kinds of offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord, personality, God, Hare Krishna, the 8th offense is Dharma Vrata Tyaga Huta Sarva Shubha Kriya Shamya Api Pramada. One should never consider the chanting of the holy name of Godhead equal to pious activities like giving charity to Brahmins or saintly persons, opening charitable educational institutions, distributing free food, and so on. Results of pious activities do not equal the results of chanting the holy name of Krishna. Here's another beautiful verse from it's in the same purport. Prabhupada quotes, and Prabhupada doesn't give the reference to this verse, but it's a beautiful verse. I'm not going to ask you to translate this. It's in traditional Sanskrit. It's hard to understand it. Gokoti dhanam grahane ka gashat. That means if one gives millions of cows in charity. Gango daka kalpa vasa suvarna dhananhamatar na samam shatam shai. Even if one distributes 10 million cows in charity during an eclipse of the sun, lives at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna for millions of years. In other words, the Triveni. Of course, there's also Saraswati there. Or gives a mountain of gold in sacrifice to the Brahmanas, he does not earn 100th part of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna. Wow. And Prabhupada continues in his purport. And he basically says the same thing. Let's see. Also in the anyway, Prabhupada quotes this particular verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita again in his Bhagavatam purport. In Srimad Bhagavatam 5:19-24, Prabhupada says the same thing. According to the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, if one compares Sankirtan Yagya to other yagyas, he is a Bashandi, an infidel, and is infidel, that's a Muslim word, and liable to be punished by Yamaraj. And then Prabhupada continues, and because in this age of Kali, such qualified Brahmanas are not available, which is what I said before, all Vedic ritualistic ceremony sacrifices are forbidden. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore recommended only one kind of sacrifice in this age, namely the Sankirtan Yagya, or chanting what? The Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And another quote, where's this from? Same thing. Actually, it's a very long purport. I'm just going to read part of the purport. In the age of Kali, the Sankirtan Yagya, the chanting of the names of God is recommended by the Vedic scriptures, and in this transcendental system was introduced by Lord Chaitanya for the deliverance of all men in this age. Sankirtan Yagya and Krishna consciousness go well together. Such an interesting expression. Lord Krishna in his devotional form, as Lord Chaitanya is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as follows. And then this famous verse, Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam sung from the Bhagavatam, that's 11.5.32. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam sango pangastra parshanar yagyai sankirtani prayar yajanti samedasa. In this age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by all of his associates by performance of Sankirtan Yagya. So this is from, actually, it's from the Bhagavad Gita, 9.14 in the purport. And then, wow. Then Bhagavatam 8.23.16 in the purport, the point of performing things according to time, place, and circumstance, like according to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtaka, was it Nam Namakari Bahudad Nivashar Sarvashaktish Tetrapita Nimatas Marnena Kala, that the holy name is not dependent upon time, place, and circumstance. So that point is made in the 8th canto. There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulative principles, And moreover, there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, or person and paraphernalia. But when your lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. Wow. What a verse, isn't it? 8:23:16 in the Bhagavatam. The note taker can note that down. She's taking notes? Really? So that's a very, very important verse. There may be discrepancies. In other words, not that, of course, you're smoking marijuana, but Prabhupada had people continue to chant even though they were smoking cigarettes, like Shyam Sundar, who was carving Lord Jagannath and resting the pack of cigarettes on Lord Jagannath. And Prabhupada, he said, just smoke one less every day and keep chanting Hare Krishna. I mean, the holy name, here it says everything becomes faultless. So in other words, all faults are rectified by the chanting of the Lord's holy names. Because, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, obviously. And Prabhupada says in the purport, this is a beautiful verse in purport. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is recommended, and again this verse, Harinam, Harinama, Harinama Evakevilam, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gataran, Yatam, Brihad. Prabhupada says, he actually attributes this to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's from the Brihad Naradiya Purana, 38:126. As Prabhupada said, same thing. Prabhupada quotes the same thing. I'm just skipping over here because there's... And Prabhupada says, we should take the advice of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this from the 8th canto, of course, dealing with Shukracharya. Although Shukracharya was a strict Brahmin addicted to ritualistic activities, he also admitted, this is interesting, a quote from Shukracharya, Nischidam anusham kirtanam, kirtanam tava. My Lord, constant chanting the holy name of your Lordship makes everything perfect. That's Shukracharya who states this. If he says it, it must be true. Jiva Goswami has recommended that although one should take care to follow all the principles in every kind of spiritual activity, especially in the worship of the deity, there's still a chance of discrepancies, and one should compensate for this by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, of course, we are careful, try to be as careful as we could be, or we should be as careful as possible in executing our activities, but there are always going to be some discrepancies. That's the way things are, because we're not pure. And so we compensate for this by chanting the holy name of the Lord. In our Krishna conscious movement, we therefore give special stress to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra in all activities. And here's another beautiful verse. This is from the beginning of the Bhagavatam, 1:18:12, contrasting sacrificial performances with the chanting of the Lord's holy names, or Krishna Katha. This is spoken by the sages to Sutta Goswami. Karmanyasmin anavashe duma drumat manam bhavan apayati govinda pada padma savam madhu. And the translation is, we have just begun the performance of this fruitive activity, sacrificial fire, without certainty of its results due to the many imperfections. It's actually a very humorous verse. Due to the many imperfections in our action, our bodies have become black from the smoke. But we are actually pleased by the nectar of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead Govinda, which you are distributing. So, they're speaking to Sutta Goswami, the sage of Shunaka Rishi, and basically is heading up the sages at Naimisharanya, and say, we were trying to perform this 1,000-year sacrifice for the benefit, I'm just paraphrasing, for the benefit of everything in this world, but basically all that happened is our bodies just became... Like you see, and that's why I try to discourage sacrifices in the temple room, because it creates problems with the ceiling, with all sorts of things. So in the future, we're going to have a Yagya Stala outside. Like in Mayapur, they're actually opening up their Yagya Stala this year because they're not going to have yagyas inside the temple. It's going to be outside in the Yagya Stala because it creates smoke. But such an interesting verse, isn't it? And Prabhupada here in his purport talks about this. He said the sacrificial fire kindled by the sages of Naimisharanya was certainly full of smoke and doubts because of so many flaws. And these are very highly qualified sages. They're not like just us, just like hippies before or something, or whatever we were before. These are super qualified sages at Naimisharanya. I mean, they're ready to do a sacrifice for 1,000 years. I get antsy after 15 minutes. I have to go to someone's house at Griha Pravesh. I'm just like, all right, let me give my lecture and get out of here or come after the sacrifice. Anyway, but these are real brahmanas. The first flaw is that there's an acute scarcity of expert brahmanas, which I said. Any discrepancy in such sacrifices spoils the whole show. In other words, they pronounce one man, because in the sacrifice you had to have one Brahmin chanting, one Brahmin checking, and another Brahmin correcting, giving the correct version, because you couldn't pronounce everything improperly. Prabhupada says, unscrupulous, greedy Brahmins in the age of Kali induce the innocent public by such uncertain sacrificial shows, without disclosing the scriptural injunction. In the age of Kali, there is no fruitful sacrificial performance but the sacrifice of congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Sutta Goswami was narrating the transcendental activities of the Lord before the congregation of sages. And Prabhupada here, this is really funny. The sages at Naimisharanya were practically sufferers, Prabhupada says in his purport, from the smoke of the sacrificial fire. In other words, they're and that was outdoors, and we're doubtful about the result. But hearing from this is Sankirtan, from hearing from a realized person like Sutta Goswami, they were fully satisfied. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Vishnu tells Shiva that in the age of Kali, men full of anxieties of various kinds can vainly labor in fruitive activity and philosophical speculations, but when they're engaged in devotional service, the result is sure and certain, and there's no loss or diminution. And then of course, Bhagavatam 1:18-12, Tasmati Kena Manasa, Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Shrtavya Kirtaya Yascha Jaya Pujas Shanichra. Therefore, with one point in attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who's the protector of the devotees. So that has to be our, I have so many other quotes here. Especially from the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam about chanting the holy name. And of course, there's one of my favorite verses from the 7th canto. Well, actually, it was sixth canto. Sorry, 6th canto is a Jamil story. It's Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnu Jangan Mangalam Magnasam Mahatam Api Kaurivya Vijakantaka Nishkritam. That the best method of atonement, the best sacrifice, Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnu, is the Sankirtan of Lord Vishnu's name. Jangan Mangalang Angasam. It can actually relieve all the sinful propensities of those in this age of Kali. Jangan Mangalang Angasam. Mahatama Api Kauravya. The great souls recommend it, and the great souls engage in it. Vidya Kantaka Nishkritam. It is the best vidhi. Not like we were reading in one temple the other day, the best vidhi is donation. The best vidhi, it says, this is the best vidya kantaka nishkritam. It is the best vidhi that frees one from all previous sinful activities. So we don't want to misrepresent our philosophy in order to collect money. The best video is chanting Hare Krishna. What do we want people to do? We want them to chant Hare Krishna. If they give a donation, it's nice. Okay, on that happy note, we have to end.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Maravindanalayataksam Bharavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham
Tamaham Bhajami. Goranga Polite Habe Pulakasare Goranga Polite Habe Pulakasare Hare Hare Polite Nayane Babine Hare Hare Bole Jainayane Babe Arakabe Nitai Chander Karuna Ibe Samsara Vashana Mora Kapi Tuchahai Be Arakabe Nitai Chandera Karuna Ibe Samsara Bhashana Mura Kapi Tuchahai Be Vishaya Chatiya Kabe Shudahabe Mana Kabe Hamai Rabbo Shri Vrindavanava Vishaya Chariya Kabe Shudahabe Mana Kabe Hamai Rabbo Shri Vrindavanava Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibeya Kote Kabe Hama Puja Bose Yugala Piriti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibeya Kote Kabe Hama Puja Bose Yugala Briti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahu Mohanasha Pratana Kore Sada Narottamadas Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahu Mohanasha Pratana Kore Sada Narottamadas Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Guru Kinana Radha Guru Kinana Radhe Jaya Radha Guru Kinana Radha Guru Kinana Radhe Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, 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 Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahams.